Man, I would not feel bad about, I don't feel bad about being any ethnicity because that's something you have no choice in.
Control, you have no control over that. And that's what he said. He was like, you don't have a choice how you're born. You're born white, you're born black. And I said, you're right. But you
What you
need to
do
get
with it,
people to see that you have no control over the color of your skin. Therefore, I should not be judged by something I have no control over. Yet, I am on a daily basis. I can't leave my skin. You can cut your hair, because I remember having a conversation one time, and I'd asked him, I said, you ever been followed in a store?
that's probably why he asked me the same thing.
Right. I asked him, I said, you ever been followed when you walk into a store? And he was like, yeah, all teenagers are. And I was like, this is what you need to know. I am not a teenager. I said, as a 50-something-year-old man, have you ever been followed in a store? And he goes, no. And I said, well, I can't say that as an adult, just walking into a store, that I've never been followed. I've been followed many times. Not only have I been followed, I've walked into a store and not been given any service because of the color of my skin. And I said,
Have you ever had this experience too where you're shopping and you know what you're shopping for, right?
mm-hmm.
So let's say,
And they keep coming up and say, can I help you?
no,
Can I
not
help?
not even that. Like I'm not really fashion forward, so I'm just gonna go Gucci. Like let's say there's a Gucci bag, right? And let's say it's like $2,000 and it's not out on full display, and you're like, yo, I want to check out X,
Mm-hmm.
Y, and Z. And they're like, well, let me show you this. A car dealership is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Like we was talking about one of our boys who has a Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
You go on a lot and you're like, yo, I want the CL 600 or whatever they
They
are.
want to steer you towards what
Kia.
they think you can
Right.
afford. Mm-hmm.
Man, now that shit is infuriating right there.
And it is. And so, as I said, to going further into our conversation, I was like, I know what it feels like to walk into a store and have every associate in that store not make eye contact with you because they do not want to serve you because they think that you cannot afford anything that's in there. I know what it feels like to walk down the street and have somebody clutch their bag and almost injure themselves to keep their bodies away from me because they think that I'm a threat. And so I asked them, I'm like, have you ever experienced that as an adult? And he was like, no. And I said, well, multiply that by millions. There are millions of people like me who are experiencing those things every day. And it's not because these are people who are going to go into a store and steal anything. It is not because these are people who do not have the money to buy something in that store. It's because somebody looks at the color of their skin and they make an assumption about them, or presumption. They presume things about them based on the color of their skin and what media has and history has brainwashed them into believing about a race of people.
Man, and I can tell you too, going back to the whole you speak well shit, like those of us who get profiled that are, not to say black people aren't articulate, but some, just like any other ethnicity, some more than others. Those of us who are able to articulate ourselves, we do get, I don't want to say preferential treatment, but better treatment than somebody who speaks purely Ebonics and can't, code
And it is
switch and
true,
whatnot.
because just like you said, you think, or they think, that because you speak well, that's associated with your intelligence.
Right. And so all the people that get profiled, so we're able to sit here and tell these stories, right? A lot of the people that have had this happen to that maybe again weren't so articulate and were just basing it off of your skin color and the way that you talk, they're either not alive to tell their stories or they're sitting behind bars still trying and they can't get anyone to understand whatever it is that they were profiled, that they didn't commit any crimes. And yo, that shit, man, that should be fucked up. And I got to the point where I'm agreeing with the anarchy, as they call it. I don't call it anarchy because anarchy is what we had before all of the killings of these black men. Anarchy, the definition, I believe, is the lack of government. That's what we had. That's why all these Democrat cities, like the same person that we were having a conversation with, he was talking to me about Baltimore, that chick walking through Baltimore talking about, and this is how people live. And this has been a black woman. This has been a Democratic. Have you seen that ad?
Mm-mm.
Yo, son, you gotta see that ad. She walking through, she looked like a baby giraffe in her heels. Bitch can't even walk. And she is like going through abandoned areas of Baltimore that no one really lives in. And it's like, this is how the people of Baltimore, like Google black woman in Baltimore. It should be like one of the first things that pop up. So he was like telling me how much he agrees with her. And I'm like, have you ever been to Baltimore?
Wait, it's a black chick?
Yeah. Black chick, red dress, red shoes. And I'm like, have you ever been to Baltimore? Yeah, I went to like one section of Baltimore, whatever. I'm like, yo, I've been to Baltimore so many times that I can look at it and say I don't agree with the shit that this bitch is talking about because the Baltimore Police Department is the same police department that killed Freddie Gray. They're the same ones that target black people. You had at the height of the pandemic, well, the one cop going through coughing and sneezing on people in a black Baltimore neighborhood. So she can say, "Oh yeah, the Democrats did this, the
Oh,
Democrats did
reality
that."
for black people.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm Kim Klasick. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This is the reality for black people every single day. Crumbling infrastructure, abandoned homes, poverty, and crime. Baltimore has been run by the Democrat Party for 53 years. What is the result of their decades of leadership? Baltimore is one of the top 5 most dangerous cities in America. The murder rate in Baltimore is 10 times the U.S. average. The Baltimore poverty rate is over 20%. Homicide, drug, and alcohol deaths are skyrocketing in our city. Do you believe Black Lives Matter? I do. The vast majority of crime in Baltimore is perpetrated against black people, who make up 60% of the population. So why don't we care about our communities? The Democrat Party have betrayed the black people of Baltimore. If the politicians walked the streets like I do, they would see exactly how their policies and corruption affects us. But they don't want to see it. They don't want you to see this. Go to any Baltimore neighborhood and ask this question. Do you want to defund the police?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
I had 3 sons killed in Baltimore City. And I think if we defund the police office, it's going to be worse than that. So, no, I'm opposed to that.
What are you going to defund the police for? Why? How do you defend your city, your community? Families are losing people.
It's not just Baltimore. The worst place for a black person to live in America is a Democrat-controlled city. It's 2020. Name a blue city where black people's lives have gotten better. Try. I'll wait. Look at this. How are children supposed to live here and play here? Democrats think black people are stupid. They think they can control us forever. That we won't demand better and that we'll keep voting for them forever, despite what they've done to our families and our communities. Are they right? I'm Kim Klasick, and I'm running for Congress because I actually care about black lives. All black lives matter. Our communities matter. Baltimore matters. And black people don't have to vote Democrat.
drank the Kool-Aid.
Talking about she Black Lives Matter. And then if Black Lives Matter, this is how you want to portray the city of Baltimore, a majority black city. That's bullshit.
Welcome back to another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies.
Legalize.
I am Afro Becky.
Becky,
Thank you for joining us.
join it. Us.
And I am joined by...
Where can the people follow us?
That is a good question. But it's on all social media platforms at Black Lives Matter.
All Black
at
Lives
Black
Matter.
Law and Legal Lies.
All Black Lives Matter.
And it's not at Black Law and Legal Lies either. Jesus Christ.
Black Law Podcast.
Black Law Podcast.
Across
There you
all
go.
social media.
All of them.
Yeah.
My name is Dan. I am one of your hosts, and you can keep up with me on Twitter and on IG at I am Dan on Drugs. As Becky said, keep up with the show on all platforms at Black Law Podcast. And seriously, y'all, we do have a YouTube page, and as I said, we don't push it much, don't even post it. But check us out on YouTube. We post full-length videos, and a lot of time and effort goes into compiling and creating these multi-cam footages of... Just check it out. It's on
you know,
YouTube.
a lot of Dan's time and energy.
Yeah.
Beck and I, we just sit back, chill.
Yeah, they on a gravy train. And, the ad revenue. We ain't got no ad revenue. Well, introduce yourself, and then got a question for you.
Uh-oh. I think I might not introduce myself to put a halt to this question as long as possible. But I'm just saying, and you can follow me on Twitter at I Tell Legal Lies.
Now, before we get into evictions during COVID, what I want to ask both of y'all, and serious, how do you feel about advertisements during this podcast, radio, broadcast, your YouTube videos that you watch? How do you feel about advertisements?
That's where the dollars come from on any media.
As a consumer, though.
Okay, how do I feel about ads while I'm trying to watch programming?
Yes.
They piss me off. I hate when I'm on like the edge of something and they go to commercial break. But I understand why. I mean, this content is out there strictly so that advertisers, these stations can get dollars from advertising.
Becky?
I agree with Ann. They do annoy me. But there are other ways that I've seen that companies have advertised their products. For instance,
Kind of like A Few Screws Loose, the podcast.
Well, exactly. Product placement in a way. So there might be there is a show that I've watched where they utilize a new feature in a new car that they have, and they kind of brandish or at least make sure that people see the brand of the car.
Oh yeah, they pay big money for that.
Yeah.
You know who lost out on that shit? Coca-Cola and M&M's. I think I've mentioned this before, but Beck gave me a great way to reintroduce this. Coca-Cola and M&M's lost out on E.T. because it was Pepsi and Reese's Pieces. Spielberg went to these two Coke and M&M's and they said nah, pass, and look what happened.
I'm gonna say advertising. So we've done this podcast now for 3 years, give or take a little more, and we went through early on like the Audible reads, which didn't really work out. Then when we changed over to a new podcast host, we had the ads, the pre-roll ads where 30 seconds before the show. So I get it. People want to monetize their content.
Everything.
And I was listening to the Joe Budden podcast, and Joe, one of the biggest podcasts out there, he's probably doing like 1 million listens a week. So he's, for the most part, against any advertisement. He still made big money with a Spotify exclusive deal, but still the ads. So I'm listening to other podcasts, and they feel like cash grabs. T.I., for instance, he has a podcast. I understand a pre-roll. I get it because I know how to skip 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I understand a mid-roll. I understand host reads, Brilliant Idiots. They do that a lot. Charlamagne the God and them. They'll do a host read, which at least it kind of flows because it's the host saying, yo, hold up. But T.I.'s podcast, I swear he has an ad every
five
to 10 minutes. And then it's not even in a place where you got the listeners in suspense. He'll be like, yeah, shawty, so say I was walking to the store and to go buy me some. Well, let me take some time out to tell you right now about this new product on the market. And you be like, nigga.
But
Like,
listen to who you talking about, though.
yeah, but it's
T.I.
it's like, so I just want to see how people felt about ads. Listeners, how do you feel about ads on podcasts, on YouTube when you're trying to watch? Like when I had that free trial for YouTube for 3 months, man, after my trial ended, I said, what the fuck is this ghetto shit? Like, no fucking commercials. So I started to pay for the bitch. But
you know what?
Well, I mean, that's either they get you one way or another.
Right, ads. And, you know, that's crazy though with the advent of DVR
And streaming services.
and you still
Yes,
can't skip the shit.
and streaming services and stuff like that. Like that cut into a lot of ad revenue. Because
Well, not no more because you can't skip it no more. Like, remember we used to like Suits. That was our shit. Suits and White Collar. Rather than watching it live, we would hit the DVR. We don't have cable now, but when we did, hit the DVR just so we can skip the commercials. Well, now it got to a point where you hit your DVR and then you go to skip commercials and it'll say that function is not available during this programming.
really,
They do.
you know, you're telling me something new. I'm saying really because I've stopped watching TV except for
like local news and stuff like
news,
that.
right?
Mhm.
News, like national and local news. I don't really catch a lot of TV. I read nowadays. So that's something new. I didn't know that they
Well,
were doing that now.
Well, that's mainly when you do something on demand. Like when you want to watch something that previously aired and they have it available for you to play whenever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They chock that stuff full of ads. There'll be like 6 commercials during one break, and I'm like, do I really want to watch this anymore?
Yo,
Like,
AT&T has this shit. They have a countdown, right? We have AT&T TV. It's an app.
Uh-huh.
And you can watch live TV, but when you watch some of the on-demand stuff, it'll, boom, get you to the commercial point, and then there's a little circle, like the Apple spinning circle.
Yeah.
And it has seconds, 180 seconds per commercial break, 3
or
minutes.
it'll count down to say commercial 1 of 6.
Yeah, that shit.
Oh, so I got the people saying, look, y'all cutting into our advertising dollars. We are making you look
Right.
at this
But the
stuff.
thing is, and consumers are smart nowadays, and that shit doesn't work. Like these YouTube ads, it might work on older people, but on younger people, we know how to tune out while we're waiting. Like if it's one you can't skip, we know how to tune out. We don't care what you're trying to sell or what you're
Yeah,
offering.
for the most part, though, it's the older audience that they're trying to catch. You think about it, the people who have the most discretionary cash. You know, baby boomers, these people there are millions of them, and they have a lot of discretionary funding. So,
I
yeah,
guess.
it's the older folks they're trying to get anyway.
It's like
Well-
we just tune that shit out, just like websites now. When I go on the websites and I have an ad blocker, but some of them force you to disable
That
it.
voice there.
But on the sides, you'll see blinking ads. Like right now, no bullshit. I can say I don't even have a PlayStation in the house. Right now, I can say PlayStation 4. Just by me saying that, I guarantee you, as I start scrolling through my phone,
You'll start seeing PlayStation.
right.
Mhm.
But the thing is, again, I can tune all that shit out, like all the little flashy ads, and I can zero in on the content. I can have porn like going on in these little ads, and you've seen that before, like when we watch some of the boxing stuff, and
Oh yeah, that
they'll
stuff
have
just pops up.
porn on the sides, like a picture of web page. You got some broad getting her back blown out, and I literally don't see it. And it's right there. Like, and Becky, she pointed
Man,
it out one
you
time.
watch too much porn, man.
I don't watch porn like that.
Of course you do. Anytime they're advertising it on the side.
No, it can be that, like, there's a reason why they do that, but I ain't even gonna get into that. So evictions during COVID, right? That was a great segue.
No,
Porn.
I think I had a better segue.
Okay, listen.
So you mentioned people with discretionary funds.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of them around here
Well-
these days.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Around here these days, people do not have a lot of discretionary funds, and hence they
Which
are
is why
getting
porn
evicted.
should be free.
Oh yeah, did y'all know that Pornhub did give premium free for a lot of countries
I
during
wish-
COVID?
Man, all I know is Pornhub. Yo, I love their advertising. Have you seen the Zoom shits?
Dude, I don't do Pornhub.
No, it's not even on point. There's commercials that they're running. So
Wait,
you'll have
Pornhub is running Zoom commercials.
No, they're running commercials. So this will be a commercial. There'll be an office meeting on Zoom, right? So one dude, his name was Daniel too. But
figures.
they'll be talking and he'll be like, okay, well, think you guys got it from here. Do you need me? I have to go handle something. And they're like, no, we don't need you. So he'll do like that and look like he closed it out. Then you see him go get a bottle of Jergens, unzip his pants, and start pumping the lotion. And they're screaming at him. They're like, Daniel, your camera's on. And then some chick's like, and then some other chick's like, so like, but when you see that commercial, well, at first, not very many people knew that was a commercial. They thought that shit was real. They're like, yo, that motherfucker getting fired. But you get people talking. And then they had another one similar to it. You got to check them out. It's hilarious because I even thought this shit was real. I'm like, there's no way.
I'm have to go look.
Okay, Becky.
But
sorry.
we're talking about
Free porn?
evictions.
Yeah,
Not free
eviction.
porn. We're talking about evictions in this COVID-19 era. And that came up, or that's coming up because the moratorium, the federally backed moratorium on evictions is actually sunset. So
And that ended
What, July 31st?
August.
it actually ended in July. Yeah. Beck was
July.
right.
Okay.
So the moratorium started March 27th and it ran 120 days. But in the CARES Act legislation, you had to give your tenant 30 days notice. So as of September 1st,
people had their 30 days.
they are starting to receive these eviction notices, or they're starting to actually go through the process of being evicted. So normally, pre-COVID, we've spoken about evictions before, and told you to read, and I say it all the time, read what you sign. And I know that it might be laborious to look at pages of fine print. They have these leases, these standard leases that are double column, legal side, front and back, 5 pages, and they tell you to sign and you sign. And I say all the time to read it. If you don't have somebody that you trust read it for you, because I know in the state of Louisiana, at least as far as the law is concerned, you can waive notice in your lease, which means that
You get kicked out today.
they can immediately go to court without giving you any notice. Like, you miss your pay date, you miss if it's supposed to be there on the 1st and they don't have in the lease that you have until the
The
5th.
grace period or
Right.
whatever.
So the day that you miss that rental payment, the very next day they can go into court and start eviction proceedings if you've waived notice. Now, normally in a lease, if you have a lease, as I said, you waive it. If you don't have a lease and you're on a month to month, they have to give you, is it
30
10?
days.
I'm going to say 30 days, but there's
is.
some to get out. So, having said that, as I said earlier, in the CARES Act, in spite of what Louisiana law is, they had to give you 30 days notice. But that was only for certain types of properties. And these were for properties that either one were the landlord actually had a federally backed mortgage, right?
And that would be Fannie, Freddie,
Right. HUD. What's the military ones?
FHA.
So, anything federally backed. If the landlord had a mortgage that was federally backed. Also, if it was subject to a federal program like Section 8 or some other federally backed program. I had a list. So,
And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Section 8, let me tell you about it.
it's also called the Housing Choice Program.
Damn, has it always been called that?
Yes.
Shit. I've always known it as Section 8. But it's a long ass list that you have to put your name on and wait for years and years and years.
That is not true.
In
that boy
DC,
said it's a long ass list that you got to put your name.
In DC, do you know how far in advance you have to? There's a waiting list for Section 8, and that shit is ridiculous. At one point, it was years.
Really?
It was, I want to say, like 2 years. And if I'm not mistaken, in order to qualify for Section 8, you do have to be of a certain income. You also
it helps
must
if you have
children.
Kids.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have children. And the cool thing about Section 8 versus living in the projects is when you're living in the projects, you're living in the projects. When you're living on Section 8, you get a housing voucher. And if you find a landlord that will accept them, you can move in there and you don't necessarily live in the projects. You can live in a single family home somewhere. So
That dude said, if you live in the projects, you live in the projects.
Yeah, I'm saying. If Section 8, like Section 8 gives you more flexibility as far as where you live.
There are a lot of people who actually live in what was considered the projects on Section 8.
Man, they was tripping. So, but one of the things that I saw is we were looking for places to rent. And it was kind of when Craigslist was the place to go. I don't even know where people go these days, but it will say in the ad, no Section 8, no rental vouchers accepted. I guess you can do that, right?
Exactly. If you are you're an owner of a private home, you don't have to accept Section 8 vouchers.
Why do you think they don't?
Most people, because it's a pain in the butt, honestly. So here's the thing. Most people, so this is how Section 8 works. So
I just told them projects is
this is how the housing voucher works. HUD, which is the Department of Housing and Urban Development, federal government. The federal government will pay a portion of your rent, right? And you have to pay the other portion, and it's all based on your income. So say the rent on a single family home was $1,800 a month.
Wait, don't be doing like this and then say 1,800. Nah, this 2,600 right here.
$1,800 a month. on your voucher, you may just have to pay $200 of those 18, and the federal government will pick up the rest.
Or the same different person in a different financial situation might pay $60 for the same place.
Exactly right. So it's dependent upon your income and family size and things of that nature. So, excuse me. So as I said, what happens is the federal government will pick up a portion. Some people think it's a pain in the butt because if
tenants don't pay their portion.
Right. Tenants, there are sometimes, even though you only have to pay $200 a month, they may not pay it.
So,
then there are very stringent
social workers?
Well, no, you have to pass inspection, right?
Right.
And there are certain things that the home that you are renting to someone on a housing voucher, they have to have inside of it, and it has what it has to be. The crazy thing is, once you get somebody in Section 8 in your property, it's harder to get them out, to evict them, than it is regular person.
Why is that?
Because of their situation. Like, well, for instance, right now we're talking about evictions in the age of COVID. And as I said, if you are on a Section 8 voucher living in a place, your landlord cannot evict you for non-payment of rent. For non-payment of rent. Let me get that straight. They could not evict you for non-payment of rent. They could evict you for something else. So say you threw a wild party and you damaged the home during COVID, during this moratorium. Well, in the clause, they have a clause in there about you, or you had an animal in the home, and they had a clause about not having animals in the home.
So the owner can, does each owner have to abide by the same set of rules or what have you? Or can one owner say, yo, you can't have pets, or you can't park here, or you can't do this, and the other?
You have control of your home.
Okay, so it'd be no different rule wise as if the renter were a regular.
Right. You have control of your home. The only thing is, as I said, there are safety requirements that you have to have in place in the home for your house to pass inspection and be placed on.
How do they value? Like, okay, let's say
like how much
Becky and I want to rent our house out, and as I said, $2,600 a month, and somebody who's on a voucher program wants to rent a place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could the government or somebody step in and say, yo, $2,600 is a little too steep for this particular size? Or
no, your voucher is going to be your voucher. So it's not based on you. It's based on the tenant. So this is how the voucher system works. As I said, they're going to look at your income. They're going to look at your family size and some other stuff. And they're going to say, okay, the government is going to pay $1,600 of your rent. And you go out and find a house, and the house is 18. Well, you have to pay that extra too.
What if you find one that's 14?
There you go. They're going to pay you 14.
Yeah. So if you move after that, will they still only pay you 14?
They're going to pay you what your voucher.
Okay. So now I guess my next question would be non-payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're renting out to somebody who is on Section 8. Let's say their rent's $75 a month, and they haven't paid us in 6 months. Now, I personally know landlords that will let that slide because they're like,
I'm getting
lion's
14.
share. Yeah.
So why just let it roll?
But me, I'm gonna want all my currents, as y'all say. I want all my currents. So if I go to evict them, will they lose their Section 8 status for non-payment?
You could. You absolutely could.
Huh. Interesting.
There are certain things, like I don't know all the ins and outs, but I do know that is one of the reasons why you could lose your voucher.
So, is there anything different that's happening because of the COVID situation for evictions?
Right. And that was a moratorium, meaning on a federal level, on a state level, and in some
Local.
instances on a citywide level, on district levels.
And you
Mayors,
have to hire a new the companies. All right, so when they do evictions, they would send the sheriffs and
The
boom,
constable,
boom, boom,
uh-huh.
and they're like, yo, get your shit out or somebody else is moving your shit out, right?
Mhm.
Back home, they had people that worked for the city that would come remove all of the stuff and put it out on a curb.
Mhm.
Now you have to hire the owner has to hire a special company
To
that,
come and move.
yeah, because of COVID, to come and move this shit out. So it's like a new market. They're doing the same exact things, but somehow
but now it's become privatized.
certified. We're certified safe or some shit like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. But so, like I said, moratorium, meaning that your landlord could not evict you. Started March the 27th, lasted 120 days. Could not evict you for non-payment. That goes back to what I was saying. But they could evict you if you had an animal in there or you caused some major damages. You disturbed the peace and you broke the lease in some other way than non-payment. But for non-payment specifically, they could not evict you for that 120 days. After the 120 days ran, it was written into the law, they had to give you 30 days notice to get out. And as an aside, we had in New Orleans a 3-alarm fire that happened that destroyed an apartment building.
That was this morning, right?
Found out that was Monday, I believe.
That's news to me.
So found out today that the person living in one of the units,
Meth lab,
deliberately set her apartment on fire because she had received an eviction notice. So set the apartment on fire and fled to the state of Texas.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
So
now, I guess I'm gonna ask the question that everybody listening is thinking: was there anybody else in this apartment building?
absolutely. It was a 26 unit apartment building. And
Did everyone make it out okay?
Everybody made it out except a dog. One of the tenants' dogs was consumed by the fire. But 26 families are now
homeless.
displaced because
What complex was that?
it was on
It was wasn't it in
was it
Uptown?
Uptown.
Was it? It was on Washington. Hold up.
Jesus, man, people do some foul.
It's like
ass shit.
how stupid can you be? But that's exactly what she did.
Like I've seen people getting their houses foreclosed on, and they know that
And messing up their stuff.
they'll pour cement in the plumbing. They'll
graffiti the walls.
Yeah, they'll
Punch
fuck the
out
whole
the
house
wall.
But
up.
what's stupid about that is what if by some miracle you managed to avoid foreclosure? Now what have you done? So let me
Central
see.
City.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, did you? Yeah, you're looking at it.
Yeah.
So
People are so
yeah.
fucking dumb, man. Like that whole tearing up your house. You remember when we were house shopping and we found the one house? It was one of the, what do you call them, home path homes, and the person had jacked the house all up. But yo, it was a nice ass house.
It was a nice house, but it was a lot of work that had to be done.
I still think I would have been happier there because
I don't think
that
so.
whatever.
That house.
I don't think so.
This is what I know. The little bit of things that you had to do in here drove your ass crazy.
But this is different.
I'm sorry, crazier than you already were.
This is different. That would have been hired out.
Man.
The price, ladies and gentlemen, this house was like a 3,200 square foot house. Mind you, there's only 2 of us. It was like 5 bedrooms.
And
like
it had a bar.
4 bathrooms, built-in bar, and open floor plan. The person that lived there couldn't afford it anymore. Oh, and it had solar panels on the
It
roof.
was nice.
Free
It was.
electric.
It had a nice backyard.
Well, no,
With the
it had a
shed.
big ass shed in the back.
Yeah.
That
That
shade
was
was nice, man.
That was termite infested.
And then it
We
had
wasn't gonna tear it down.
2 I would have reinforced that shit with care. But 2 AC units, like 2 zone. Like, yo, the people that did own it, they put some money into it when they could afford it. Then they tore that bitch up and started coming in and pissing in the house, yanked the bathtub, and I'm just like, so anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just gonna say this. The house was listed for $209. Then it went down to $199. Then it went down to $189. And I said, let's put an offer in at $160 because it needed a lot of work. Seriously, it probably needed over $100.
And it was a nice neighborhood.
So they rejected our offer. We put in another offer, $168. They rejected. So I said, well, shit, it's been on the market for 4 or 5 months now, and it keeps dropping $10,000. We'll just wait. Some jackass bought it at $189. Now that bitch is worth $400. $400. That was my retirement right there. So anyway, back to these evictions. So they burned the house. They burned the fucking.
So she burned her unit. And
extradition hearing.
right, because as I said, she fled to Texas and they arrested her and they're extraditing her. So let me toss this. Allegedly, she set her apartment on fire after receiving an eviction notice. So hear me on this one. There are some things that you can do to halt an eviction should during this time. As I said, and a lot of people are trying to figure out, or you should try to figure out, and there are resources out there, whether or not your landlord has a federally backed mortgage. And let me tell you why that's important. Because written in the law, the way the law is written, and this is over and above the moratorium on evictions, if your landlord has a federally backed mortgage and that mortgage is has been what do they call your mortgage? They forbear. Yeah.
Forbearance. Yeah.
If their mortgage has been or is in forbearance due to COVID-19, they cannot evict you from that home. Because
nobody's paying anything.
Right. So it's sort of like you're trying to get rid of me because I'm not paying the rent, but you're not paying a mortgage. And the federal government, is forbearing monies that you are expending. You can't throw me out. They can't do that. Also, if you are trying to fight an eviction and they will not allow you to come into court remotely, you can get them, especially in the state of Louisiana, you can get them to allow you to attend a hearing remotely. Just had a ruling on a case just like that. It was a woman who had been evicted or was in the process of being evicted. She could not attend an in-person hearing because all of her she was like diabetic and she had some other medical issues. All of her doctors were telling her that she should not go out because we all know if you have comorbidities, you are at a higher risk for death due to coronavirus and COVID.
And even if you don't have comorbidity, it's scary out here in these streets.
Exactly. So she was not allowed to attend remotely. They told her no. Well, an injunction was filed against her eviction and took it up to appellate court, and the court basically said y'all have to allow her to attend this hearing remotely due to COVID-19. So
Well, check this too. I just want to add to that. Here in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, you have to go in person, right, to file for an eviction.
Mhm.
And New Orleanians showed out to the courthouse. We did an episode on protesting in public gatherings.
Mhm.
They blocked the ingress and egress to the courthouse, and you would see landlords walking up with their documents that they were ready. They would not let them in the building, so they actually all had to turn and go away. So did they reconsider and say, okay, now you can do it online?
Well, there was at some point you were able to fax file or e-file, but they've gone back to you have to go in person to file. But so as I was saying, they have to make accommodations for you. Something else, if there's been a lot of talk about, now that this federal moratorium is over, and it is, because as we know, as of the date that we are actually taping this, there's not been any movement in Congress as far as a new stimulus package that could have extended the protections that these moratoriums held. They're no longer extended. As of September the 1st, anybody who actually had some protections due to the CARES Act and that March 27th moratorium no longer has that protection. Because as we said,
didn't Trump say in his executive order he was doing something, or was that just Trump being Trump?
Trump being Trump.
Gotcha.
So you had 30 days notice. Your 30 days notice, as Becky said earlier, would have ended July 31st. So as of September 1st,
August 31st. August 31st.
I'm sorry. Yep, August 31st. So as of September 1st, landlords could go into court to get you the hell up out of your houses.
So what are we seeing then?
We're seeing people being evicted, especially if they are allowing these people to go in and file this paperwork, and if you don't have the money to go in, that's something else. Let me mention that we have mentioned on the show before about a process called informal paupers. That's what it's called.
Let me explain.
That's what it's called in the state of Louisiana.
It is basically,
I don't know what it's called.
It's called
elsewhere.
pro se, and that is where you do it yourself.
Pro se is do it yourself, but informal paupers.
You can you not do that yourself though?
You can do informal paupers yourself, but that's not what it is. What informal paupers is the ability that you have, or that the court gives you, to file paperwork without immediately paying fees, fees associated with that.
So kind of like when we was talking about the protest, how if you can't afford the fee
right. So this is because every man has the right to the court system,
and woman.
So what the law allows you to do is petition the court and verify to the court that you have no way of immediately paying fees associated with filing any petition or what have you. So the court will allow you to file what you need to file without paying immediately. And realize I keep saying immediately because eventually
you have to pay.
You will have to pay. But, you cross that bridge when you get to it. So if you don't have a dime in your pocket, but you have a landlord who is going into court, you still have the ability to file your paperwork to try to get that
So
to stop.
I got a question now. All right, so the moratorium,
Uh-huh.
it prevented landlords from kicking people out who were if the landlord had a federal backed mortgage, right?
And
So
or you are part of that one of those programs.
right. Now, does that specifically state whether or not for all the months of non-payment that you had to pay come September 1st or whatever? So say you didn't pay for 3 months, you didn't get evicted. Okay, now your protection's up. Do you have to pay for those 3 months?
Technically you do.
Huh.
So it wasn't
A
hey,
forgiveness.
you don't have to pay the rent. It's just they
A
can't
deferment.
right. They can't kick you out because you are still legally bound to pay that rent. Something else, since we're talking about evictions, if you have paid
Security deposit.
security deposit, I was about to say a down payment. You could tell
$88
I'm not rent.
down, $88 a month.
But if you have paid a security deposit in the state of Louisiana, landlords have 30 days from the date that you move to give that security deposit back to you. That's
Pictures.
Absolutely. As I was about to say, that's if they don't keep it because of some damage that's more than wear and tear in the space that you rented.
Take pictures when you move in, take pictures when you move
Exactly
out.
right.
And
Because-
line the two up. And if that shit don't look close enough, do the work yourself. And you can do that. You can paint the walls yourself, even though in some leases it'll say don't paint. You know what? Home Depot can color match the shit out of some stuff. So.
And if you go and get a shampooer and shampoo the carpet.
Yep.
And let me tell you something else. I said about reading. And a lot of leases that I've seen, a lot of them that I've written, there is in there something that says that out of your direct deposit, security deposit, they are going to take a cleaning fee.
Yep, ours did that.
And the cleaning fee says they will automatically take out $175 or $180 or however
Keep going
much.
up. Keep going
Right.
up. Let me tell you what ours was.
But here's the thing. If you have left that sucker spotless, meaning
Which we did.
If you have shampooed the carpet,
Check.
if you've washed all the baseboards,
Check.
if you're looking through and all the blinds are in place, if you have left that place better than you walked into that sucker,
check,
you can get that shit back.
Hey, they owe us some money.
And it's true because they put it in there. But it's supposed to be for cleaning. If they don't have to clean it, why are they taking it?
Look, our unit, when we was renting that condo, I shampooed the carpets. And for me, it was more of a respect thing because I knew the guy that worked there, dude named Carlos, that did all the work on all the units.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yo, he's a one-man show. So I'm going to do him a solid because cool dude. Went ahead, wiped everything down, dusted the ceiling fans, shampooed the carpet, scrubbed the shit out the kitchen floors, kitchen counters spotless. Yo, they still kept, what was it, $300?
Don't remember them keeping any of our money.
Well,
But
it was for cleaning. After you moved out, they took a cleaning. You know
What's
what?
a
You
cleaning
high
fee?
right now.
I remember paying an application fee when we moved in and a cleaning fee when we moved in.
No,
I don't
the
remember
cleaning
them
fee
taking it
was
at
when
the
you
end.
move out. They're not gonna charge you cleaning to move in. They're gonna charge you to clean up after you move out. So it was somewhere like $300 though.
Right. Well, like I said, you can definitely get that back. So if you've left that place spotless and you left, say your security deposit was, most people charge first and last. They charge 2 months. So let's say you're paying $1,800. All right. And you were on Section 8 and you were supposed to be paying $200. You didn't. 200 times 6 months, $1,200, right? But you paid $3,600 because you paid first and last, right, as a security deposit. The difference between that $3,600 and the $1,200 that you didn't pay, if they kicked you out, they owe you that difference. And they owe you that difference within 30 days. As Dan said, you need to take pictures when you move so that you can dispute that they did anything that would allow them to keep your security deposit. Also, it is your responsibility to leave that landlord with a forwarding address. They need to know where to send the money. If they do not know where to send the money, they cannot send it. Therefore, you can't start screaming and say, 30 days have passed.
Where my money?
How am I get it to you? I can't email it to you.
You could cash
I was about to say I can't cash app it to you
Venmo.
either. But what else? So, as I said, there are a lot of theories out there. Now that the moratorium is over, there are a lot of theories out there for people to try to thwart this wave of evictions that a lot of people in the legal field think is coming. So a lot of them are based on due process. Basically, the things like I was telling you about, not being able to get down to the courthouse because of COVID-19, not being allowed, like the paperwork that they send the information on, not being the information that they send the like the evictions on, that tells you that you have to show up and in court on a certain date, and the courthouse is closed because of COVID. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have access to the internet, or you don't have access in order to be at court on the day that you need to be. That's a due process issue. So there are some ways that you can stop this process. What I would suggest to
is not burning down the complex.
Please,
that's one.
Because now the person is being charged with 26 counts of arson and
attempted murder,
something else. I didn't read the whole thing,
Get her
but
the
it's like,
fuck out of here.
You honestly, I know that people out here are hurting, and like this morning when I was watching the news and I saw that there is a family, and like my heart got so full because I was like, Jesus, this elderly lady, and they showed her from the back, her and her 2 grandkids that she is currently taking care of and raising, they slept in chairs outside of this burnt out place because they had nowhere else to go.
Let me tell you some real shit. When I was a kid, my house burned down, right? Thanks. Yeah, as I was saying, when I was a kid, my house burned down. We really didn't have, we had relatives, but my family dynamic is odd as fuck. So I'm just leave that there. The Red Cross came in. Red Cross put us up in a hotel for quite some time. And it was a suite. It was like almost an apartment. So that was just, I'm just saying that, I guess, to let people know that there's resources.
Right.
If there's like some kind of, even if it's not a natural disaster, but something like that, they hooked us up for, it was probably a couple of months while they got the house together or whatever.
Fixed. Yeah, well, like we said at the top of the show, 26 families have been dispersed. They have been displaced. But just seeing that, I mean, I understand. I know that there are resources. I know Red Cross is one.
United Way.
Right. But it's like you're woken up in the dead.
That is one of my biggest fears, because let me tell you, All right. So we have things that are, all of us here, everybody have things that are worth a lot monetarily. We
Mhm.
have a lot of things that may not be worth anything
But can't be
monetarily, but yeah,
replaced.
they're worth
Mhm.
every. My biggest fear is waking up in the middle of the night or having to do a rush evacuation, like say when the water started coming in Katrina. What do I grab? It's like there in my head, I kind of have an idea.
I want to grab everything, but you
Well,
can't.
yeah,
You
but
can't grab
like
everything.
so I would go for, we have a safe. It's waterproof, fireproof, as long as it doesn't float away or some shit.
Right.
So all the important documents are in the safe. So I'm not too concerned. And that shit can be replaced too. I got a shoebox full of old pictures and old shit just growing up. That's like one of the first things that I'll grab. And there's some other things in that area too that I would grab. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, I got probably like 30 grand worth of fucking studio cameras
that you can't carry,
if
bruh.
I'd be swimming holding the camera and shit. But
You
then
can't carry.
the things that I would grab, like in all honesty, is what I said, the shoebox full of old pictures and things of that, family stuff, guns. I got guns all throughout the house. And the reason why I would grab as many guns as I can is not necessarily because, yo, I need my guns, but I don't want anybody to come in afterwards
And take
and
them.
find them because being that we're two adults, none of my guns are really locked up. So someone could come in, like when we went, I don't want to say raiding, we went into people's homes after
This fool
Katrina.
say we went raiding.
Well, we went into people's homes after Katrina, years after. We're talking 2009, Lower Ninth Ward. And we just climbing through windows, doors knocked off the hinges, and it was all for photography. But I just remember seeing like, yo, there was still shit in there from 2005. So that, I think I would grab that shoebox, the guns, and hopefully my laptop, and everything else. It is what it is.
Man, look, because we live in Hurricane Alley, since the beginning of hurricane season, I've had in a room in a house a bag that's packed, in case we need to get out. I have my passport in one of those bags, and I have my collection of Disney Doonies, because I'm talking shit that I can't replace. That's
I don't even know what the hell that is. Oh, a Dooney and Burke.
Right.
Okay.
That is what I would 100% take. My mom, she is probably gonna grab like the family picture albums or whatever, and so I don't have to worry about losing pictures that I'm never gonna be able to find again.
See, that's some of these kids, like, it wouldn't even fucking matter to them.
No, because they
it's
don't
all
take
on the phone.
right. That's the thing. They don't take pictures. They don't print them out.
Becky.
You take all of these pictures, but how many people actually
Right.
print those suckers out?
What would you grab? Probably whatever I'm yelling out. Hey, grab my keyboard. 61 keys.
I don't think anything to me is that okay. So I think maybe some jewelry, some rings that my grandmother gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And a box of just a memory box that I have.
All right, that's what's up. See, because and like I said,
If it's
that's
the one
about
that's
right.
beside my shoebox, I'm grabbing that.
I don't think it's there.
You done moved it?
Maybe.
Oh Jesus!
I don't know.
Hold up.
Wait a minute. Know your rights. This is the thing. I know we went sidebar, but know your rights, and there are resources out there for you.
In the closet, right?
Shut up, man. There are resources
In
out
whose
there
closet?
for you to know what.
Master closet. Hold on. Now we gonna get this shit figured out. The master closet.
Wait, why the girl
top
can
shelf.
move her own box?
Is our box.
Yeah, it's our box.
Oh. Well, see, then the girl can move her own box.
She can move the one right there between her legs, but the one.
No. She can move her own box. and it's y'all box.
So you
well,
moved
it's
it
part
from
hers.
up in the closet.
I think so. I thought it was in the little room closet.
No.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. The one box that we're going to be trying to grab, we're going to be like, yo, where the fuck is the box? All right. So anyway, yeah. Back to the.
So everything that we tell y'all is about knowing your rights. And so, I said that the moratorium was on federally backed mortgages and on these
Programs.
HUD programs. A lot of people don't know, you wouldn't know whether or not your landlord has a federally backed loan. There are resources to find out. As far as actually being told that you need to show up in person for an eviction hearing, once again, know your rights in the city that you're in the state that you're in, because if you need to be able to do this remotely, they can't deny you the right to do this remotely. Also know that if you don't have the money for a lawyer, there are indigent programs out there that you can take advantage of. And if you think that you can do this yourself, but you don't have the money to pay to file anything, in forma pauperis, meaning that the court has to allow you to file it and they will forbear the fees.
And let me jump into Section 8. We talked about Section 8, what the program is, and we talked about the inspection process, right, and how stringent it is. If you are on Section 8 and you are facing eviction, or you kind of know it's coming up, if there's anything that's unsafe in that house, anything that probably shouldn't have or wouldn't now pass inspection, let the inspectors know. Let the Section 8 people know, because if I'm not mistaken, before they can kick you out, they have to come fix whatever the shit is, right?
There is, if you complain to the program about certain things, and a lot of landlords, they will try to kick you out because of stuff like that.
Right.
Can't do it.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So know your rights. It's about to get really rough. We're about to see, all kinds of people just moving around. Leave on this note, New York, Upper West Side, people are fleeing. White flight. We talk about black flight. We talk about white flight. They are fleeing because I don't know if it's the mayor or the governor decided to.
Okay, this just in.
Bulls won the 96 championship.
That's just in. So the eviction, Trump administration announces a new eviction moratorium effective immediately as of, this was 3 hours ago.
So I was right when I said that shit.
That wasn't with that was not a part of his executive order.
No, when I said, that was Trump just being Trump, and you was like, yeah, that was Trump just being Trump.
It was Trump just being Trump
He's
because
saving America.
It was not a part of his executive order. This is, so wait, he is doing this through the CDC.
How in the fuck?
So wait, the Trump administration announced Tuesday that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will use its authority to temporarily ban residential evictions for certain renters through the end of the year.
That makes sense, though, that the CDC is involved because it's a public health crisis.
The moratorium will apply to those individuals who expect to earn $99,000 or less in 2020. Oh, so anybody who received the stimulus check this
Qualifies.
year or would have been eligible based on their 2020 income.
Check.
So we don't got to pay our mortgage either.
So
What?
renters seeking protection under the new program must certify that they are unable to pay their rent because of the coronavirus crisis, that they're likely to become homeless if they are forced to leave their homes, and that They undertook their best effort to obtain other government assistance to make their rental payments.
Okay, effective immediately. Let's say there was a family that was evicted this morning.
I don't know if that's going to if the judge has said eviction and the constable is on the way, they would have to do like some sort of injunctive. They would have to get some injunctive relief. I don't
And
think these
that's
are people. Let me see. Renters will also have to certify that they are paying as much rent as they can afford. When the moratorium expires at the end of the year, renters who receive protection will still need to make up missed payments to their landlord.
that's
Um,
going to be so difficult. And I can see if they somehow subsidized it or something like that, because throughout the entire year, we've basically been dealing with this pandemic for 1 year at come December. And we got one stimulus payment of $1,200.
$1,200.
That is $100 a month. I mean, granted, it came later, but still, equivalent of $100 a month.
That was the minimum. Some people received more than that. So wait.
Yeah,
So this new action,
but they need help paying their rent, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no doubt.
$1,200 ain't gonna help.
this new action applies to all rental units in the United States. It doesn't matter if it is really federally backed or not. It applies to all of them. This right here, huh?
Look at that. Hey,
You stupid.
look at that shit. Look at that shit. Don't be. This ain't no hood.
You said
Look at
it.
that.
All right.
Looking like
so,
Flawed Cigar out this bitch.
banning evictions without compensation. Wait a minute. This just in as well. For those of you out there, man, I'm getting all kind of news.
He was lying.
Yeah, y'all probably knew this before me, though. I'm just gonna throw this in here. All federal student loan payments have been officially suspended until 2021.
Yeah.
Zero interest, no collection, and
That didn't just end. That's been.
And now, no, it was not. Non-payments count towards forgiveness.
Non-payment. Say that again. Non-payment counts.
Non-payments count towards forgiveness.
How does that? Doesn't even sound right.
Wait, we would have to, man. It's straight out of Forbes, man. You have to
Non-payments
go look it up. So
counts for forgiveness. Counts as forgiveness.
towards forgiveness.
What does that even mean?
Shucks, that happened on the 21st, man. I missed that one. Did you know about this one?
Nope.
Who?
That was new.
What are you talking about?
Huh. All right. So you know that you can have your student loans forgiven
Mm-hmm.
under certain guidelines. So what they're saying is those non-payments will qualify for forgiveness under this moratorium.
Man, we still need to do another episode about student loans
No
in the
doubt.
future. So
No doubt.
anyway, as I was saying though, Upper West Side, they're leaving. A lot of people are leaving New York. They're going to different states. They said they've never seen this many people who live there have never seen this many U-Haul trucks.
I heard about that though.
And it's because I don't know if it was the mayor or the governor of New York who
Think it was the mayor
It was
housing.
de Blasio.
Yeah.
So he put a bunch of mentally ill or homeless people or drug addicts into hotels, and
To get them off the street
Right.
because of COVID.
I remember that.
and there in the Upper West Side is like old Metairie times 10.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, yo, y'all, the quality of life is fucked up now. You got bums, you fucking bum hanging out on the corner and shit like that. So there's a mass exodus, and they're going to places like one person said, I'm going to DC. It's cheaper. I'm like, nah, bruh.
It might be cheaper than New York. Let me tell you, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Use your Googles on that.
500, depending on where you are, 500 square feet and you're paying $1 million, dude. That's way
DC.
that. I don't know about them 500
That's
square feet,
DC.
man.
But anyway, yeah, a lot of movement's gonna go on, and it's just unfortunate that it has to be now. At least now people have a little more time with
the end of the year. So saying that, so now that we know today, as of today, it's not an executive order. It is a memorandum and some sort of finagling via the CDC, because this is a public health crisis. Have to read further into this because, I mean, I just goggled it and saw this because I got an alert.
So are you or anybody you know going to be affected by the evictions? Tune in next week at 8 p.m. to find out. Hey, when the news does that shit, like, bitch, now that you said that, I'm gonna just Google what the fuck you talking about.
But the question that you ask is definitely a good one to ask. Anybody who was evicted from their home as of today, before that order went out, I don't know if the order made it retroactive. So
yeah, because wouldn't it have to be made retroactive back to August 1st?
It would basically have to be retroactive, and I mean it supposedly went into an effect today because they said immediately. Yeah. But
so there's that month window that, because
today was the end of the month window. That's the thing. Yeah.
So there's a gap for the month of August.
Right. So what I would suggest, if you, and look, old girl done burned down the doggone apartment and she wouldn't even have had to leave.
Dumbass. See? Dumbass.
Exactly
shit.
what I said earlier.
Now, real quick too, just a real quick sidebar. What do you think makes people do shit like that? Like not just like burn down a apartment complex, or when they get angry or they feel slighted, they try to destroy, and it's usually shit that does not belong to them. Like you'll see that, I know, well, y'all don't be on the internet, but well, the girl that tried to burn down her boyfriend's car, she dumped all the gas in the back window.
Well, let's talk about Left Eye. Look what she did to Andre.
Did you see the video though that I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
So she takes a 5-gallon gas can, dumps it in the back seat of the dude's Jeep.
Oh wait, and she blew it up.
And she won't.
And then she was crawling. Yeah,
man. So
yes.
what makes? Left Eye. She don't count. She's rich. She was rich.
Wait, what you mean she don't count? She burned the dude house down.
She could afford to buy him a new one.
It don't matter. You talking about people that just are so angry that they're destructive.
What do you think makes people do that?
You snap. This is why in the law we have something called manslaughter.
Snapping.
No, we have manslaughter. And I mean, we've spoken about manslaughter on the show before. So think about it. Heat of passion. It's written into the law for a reason, because for that split second, you don't know right from wrong. You're so heated
and desperate. And
right.
And you feel like there's no,
like, I need to turn this rage on someone. And if your car is there, I'm going to burn it down. If your house is there, I am going to burn it down. If you are there, I'm going to shoot you, stab you, then burn you. So, like I said, that's why the law
is embarrassment. That's what I think it boils down to, is embarrassment.
So,
you've embarrassed me.
You think I'm so embarrassed that I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm going to,
like, or I'm gonna hit you where it hurts, because all the other 6 tenants that were living in there, you can't get their money no more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not. Yeah, you're right, but I'm not talking about just that particular.
I know, but I'm just,
in the
general sense,
fist fights. Mm-hmm. If a man loses a fist fight, we used to be able to take an ass whoop and walk away,
and then
fight another day, or
next week I might beat you. The next week, it's a trade off. One week you win, next week I win.
So I think that's the same mentality that will cause somebody who in New Orleans East is asked to put on a mask to go into a gas station, goes out, gets his gun, and shoots up the damn gas station. Or the same, it's like it's a feeling of slight, a feeling of embarrassment. That's what I think it is.
Humiliation.
Yeah, humiliation. Like, how dare you speak to me in such a way?
Well, you know what? And that you're talking about the mask thing. I remember the Dollar General incident where the mother and the daughter went
Mhm.
into the Dollar General, and the man and his son shot the security guard, and he said, I believe his words were, "You disrespected my wife and my daughter." So,
Mhm.
but I don't know if that embarrassment. It's just
Well, I guess it okay. Anger is really what it is, but what sparks that anger? And
because people are crazy, man.
I've
For
been in a
real.
few of those situations myself where I've lost control, and everything that I did after that point was not planned. I didn't even know I was going to do it. I didn't know I was doing it. Mostly when I was younger, and I do have anger management
See,
issues.
heat of passion.
But
See that heat.
I
Of
manage
passion.
my anger well now, right, Becky?
I'm alive.
Medication is a wonderful
So,
thing.
Becky, close us out because we broke it down. We broke down the evictions, the people burning shit down. What would you like the people to know? What would you like to close out with? The floor is yours.
Thank you. Um,
I object, Your Honor.
Stupid.
I just want to keep people in my prayers, people that this is affecting, because it's not just gonna hit you in the wallet or in a way to just say that you're not gonna have a place to live anymore or have to scramble to find some place to live. This is just another brick onto the house of COVID-19 that I mean people are dealing with a lot. And I don't, with these evictions being another thing, I mean, we're already kind of stretched and tensions are high. Not just because of COVID-19, but other social issues going on as well.
All right,
So-
keep him. Let me say something.
And then I'm going to say something.
Yes, you will. Keep in mind what I just said about this new moratorium on evictions. I don't have a lot of information. Y'all go and look at this thing because more than likely, I know that I read that people are eligible if they also were eligible for these stimulus checks. But if it goes like the other federal moratorium, I know it covers more homes because they no longer have to be a part of a federal program. It's any rental unit, but I'm more than sure they are going to say because of lack of payment, just like the other thing.
Right.
So there are ways that your landlord can get around that if they are saying that it's for something else. So
And
keep in mind.
I'm going to add on to Becky's situation, talking about one more thing on your plate, one more thing. This year, we lost Kobe Bryant.
Mhm.
And I haven't spoke on that much since because of how he affected me. Didn't know the dude. Didn't just somebody I watched playing basketball growing up. Just recently during the week of this recording, we lost Chadwick Boseman.
Man, we lost too many people this year. For real.
Like
2020 has been a son of a bitch. That's real.
whatchamacallit, Bill Withers checked out.
Yep.
There's just been so many deaths. I can't even sit here and remember
Didn't we
them
lose
all.
Janae Du Bois? Walona. Didn't we lose Walona this year?
We may have. There's just been so many, but the two that, and then not to mention all of the police murders. of again Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Jacob Blake, and countless Elijah
The young man in Colorado.
McCain,
Right?
McLean. Like there's just been it's death and
Not to mention the people that died from COVID-19.
Correct.
180 plus thousand people.
Americans. Yeah.
It's like death. 2020 is the year of death, right? Now I can look at my life in a moment of transparency and say this hasn't affected my life as much as it's affected other people. I'm not struggling right now. I'm not struggling with my day-to-day life, with my quality of life. I am, however, struggling with, you guessed it, the mental health aspect of it. Every day when I wake up, I'm like, it's Groundhog's Day. It's the same thing over and over. And you're just like, when is it going to
When
end?
you
We're
gonna
looking
wake
for
up?
the light at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
And as far as I'm concerned, there is no light at the end of the tunnel because all we've seen this year is darkness. So
Then the storms.
right, and
So-
you got the hurricanes and shit. So it's like it's just every day is something worse than the day before. And
But you know what? The thing is, you have to go through the valley in order to appreciate the mountaintop.
well, I guess well, for me, my brain ain't wired like that. My brain
I know
is
for you, I'm in the valley and I'm
I've
in the
been there
valley
my whole life.
and I'm in the valley and I'm gonna
and
be
it's
in the
getting
valley.
worse and worse.
Right.
So I can honestly say, I want to say for the first time, but this has been one of the most depressing years ever. And like I said, no end in sight. We're going into 2021 with this whole COVID shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to end. The election is not going to make it go away.
It's not because
So-
it can't. But I can say this. I'm cutting you off, and I know I am, but I need to say it while I'm thinking it. If
Chicago Bulls.
shut up, if they fast track this virus,
Wait, the virus?
Jesus Christ. That's
Lord
another
Jesus.
thing for 2020.
No, if the vaccine, I'm sorry, if they fast track this vaccine, y'all do not take it. Do not. I've read so many articles by so many medical experts who are like, this is not something that we do in the United States because nowadays everything is politicized. Everything. The FDA, the CDC, and all of these government agencies that we have looked to protect us from things that could harm us, they have too become politicized because of this president. So we've said this before, but I just wanted to throw that in there because I have a feeling that, this is going to be like the polio vaccine. You know what I'm saying?
Like do more, yeah.
Do more harm than good for the people who take this very first dose.
Right. And black people are going to stay away from it regardless. Let's be real. But anyway, where I was going with that was not to really make it about me, but I want it to be transparent when I say, I know there's people out here struggling much worse off than I am, much worse off than any of us in this room are. But
right.
Don't believe, and this might sound kind of self-serving, but don't believe that people who are doing better than you aren't struggling as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're all struggling in this shit. So that's it.
I mean, just to back up what you said, just because we're not struggling financially, because that's what everybody is focused on, and you have the right to focus on it. You don't have money to do certain things, and you don't know when you will have money to do certain things. But just as Dan said, just because we are not struggling financially does not mean that this is not also taking a toll on people who have money to do things. We are still stuck on stupid, so to speak. There are a lot of things that I am not permitting myself to do, even though I have the means to do them. Because, as Dan said, coronavirus is real. It is out here and it's not getting better. People are still dying in massive amounts a day. And that affects me because I look at it and it's like, today I think about, I have elderly parents. I have elderly parents who have illnesses. So I can't walk around with impunity. I can't go out and party and hang out with friends and do this and that, because if I did that and I brought it back to my loved ones and something happened to them, I would literally fall apart.
You will be depressed like me. And if you are depressed, I have medication that I ran out of for.
So yeah, you are 100% correct. Just because it's not a financial strain does not mean that we are not all under pressure.
Yeah, especially like the celebrity hate too. I see that, like, man, they got everything. Like, yo, they dealing with it too. So anyway, something you said sparked, I think, just talking about, one extra thing on the plate. So anyway, go ahead, close us out now, Becky. We done.
This is Becky signing off.
That bro's like, shit.
This has been another episode of Black Law and Legal Lies. Please keep up with us on all social media at Black Law Podcast, YouTube page, Black Law Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dan. Keep up with me on Twitter and on IG at I am Dan on Drugs.
And this is Just Dan signing off.
Would you like to try again, Becky? Shit.